Alright, so check this out. I'm pretty sure by this point you've all heard that the Mueller report came out proving that Trump did not collude with Russia. There was no Russian collusion ever since the 2016 election. Anybody with half a brain is not surprised by the fucking Mueller report, because ever since day one, it wasn't even about like, oh, Trump this or Russia this. It was all about the fact that the mainstream media, primarily CNN, was literally obsessing over it. They literally spent 2 years straight, non-stop, every single day, talking about Russia collusion, or why Trump would do it, or why did he do it, or how it affected the election, or this or that or this or that. It was literally non-stop for 2 consecutive years. Hell, even if CNN did talk about any other news story from like a robbery or a murder, whatever it is, it would be like, yeah, Trump, Russia, oh, breaking news, some random person died in some random country from some random person, I don't know, back to Trump. That's literally what it was like for 2 years. If they did talk about anything else, it wasn't even like a story. It was just like they would randomly bring it up and then go right back to Trump. And it was an even smaller portion if it happened to have been a white victim, because as we know, the narrative is that white victims don't fucking matter. But if it's a black victim, the black victim gets about 10 minutes of news time. But if it's a white victim, it's like Trump, Russia, white person died, hey, back to Trump. They get like maybe a quarter of a second. That might be pushing it a little bit too much. Anyway, the point is, anybody knew that it was bullshit. And the people who didn't, well, let's face it, if you're stupid enough to actually watch the fake news media, if you're dumb enough to actually sit down in your home and turn on the fucking TV and watch CNN, you deserve to be dumb enough, brain dead enough, to actually stare at it like, oh, what is Trump doing with Russia every single goddamn motherfucking day. That is like literally, your brain is like mush. It's like a Homer Simpson thing where the brain is being shown and it's like just dancing around, or it's being like punching itself, or it's turning to mush or goo. That's what your brain is like watching CNN, even if they're not talking about Trump. It was fucked beyond belief. And then after 2 years of them just contemplating and conspiring, all of a sudden, oh, Robert Mueller? Yeah, nothing happened. And then you have people who are surprised. The rest of us are like, well, duh. And the funny thing was, ever since day one, even friends I have who are anti-Trump, even they were like, even if he did, who fucking cares? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, so? It's so pathetic that even if he did, nobody gave a shit. But anyway, the funniest part now is actually how the media is talking about it now. First of all, they're not admitting to being wrong, because the mainstream media can't do that. They're not, moving on to other more important news stories. We have the mainstream media openly admitting through James O'Keefe Project Veritas's investigations that it was just a big nothing burger. That quote is from Van Jones himself, by the way. Even aside from him, the mainstream media in general has admitted that they only did it because the ratings were high whenever they talked about the Russia thing, because I guess that there's that many stupid people in the world who were into this topic. So yeah, you got the mainstream media admitting that it's bullshit. Meanwhile, they still talked about it and then didn't apologize when proven wrong. Amazing. And then on top of that, they're now even doubling down about it. They go, well, now that the Mueller report shows that he didn't collude, that must mean he did. I'm Don Lemon. What? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? There's even people on Twitter, like journalists, who are saying shit like, oh, no. What I meant was that he colluded with them after the election. How do you collude to win an election after the election? Well, why am I asking logical questions to these people? And then you have that congressman, Swallows Cum, whatever the fuck his name is. He actually went on MSNBC and said, and I quote, that he thinks that Trump did collude, not because of the Mueller report or anything like that, but because Trump supposedly puts Russia's, needs ahead of America's needs. you're probably wondering why I think that phrase is so stupid, aside from it just being wrong. It's because if you remember, during the campaign trail 2 years ago, like before he actually became president, do you recall, you know, when he was still president-elect, let's say, do you remember the mainstream media was actually angry when Trump said the words, "I want to put America first"? So back then, Trump says, "I'm putting America first," and the SJW mainstream media scum says he's racist for that, and now they're saying that he's racist or colluding because he's putting Russia first. Which is it, media and SJWs? Is he putting America first, or is he putting Russia first? Oh right, I forgot. The country that he puts first switches based on your personal opinion and narrative. Got it. You know, I'm also wondering because I was going to make this into a separate video, but I think it worked because these points are actually, in my opinion, attached. Hillary Clinton. I believe that Hillary Clinton is behind Julian Assange being arrested. Now, if you don't know, Julian Assange is the founder of WikiLeaks. It was Julian Assange and WikiLeaks that actually helped Trump get elected because it was him and WikiLeaks that exposed Hillary Clinton's corruption and deleted emails. Now, anybody with half a brain knows that Hillary Clinton is one of, if not the most corrupt politicians in the history of the world. She's a war criminal, a rape apologist, and I mean, I could stand here all day telling you all about all the terrible things that she's done and the kind of person she is, but the point is, it was Julian Assange that helped get Trump elected because it helped expose her for everything she did, and he's also the one that exposed the email thing. So, recently Julian Assange was arrested. I find it kind of odd that he was arrested around the same time that the Mueller report came out. Yeah, that's a pretty big coincidence. It also makes me wonder if Hillary, who we know is still angry about losing the 2016 election, if she is actually behind getting him arrested. Because people like Julian Assange or James O'Keefe, they are the kind of people that the mainstream media and SJWs hate because they love facts and yeah. So that's why the mainstream media would hate them. And it is kind of interesting that around the same time that the Mueller report comes out, Julian Assange just so happens to be arrested. Now granted, some of the reports are stating that Julian Assange was arrested on completely irrelevant things to what I'm talking about here. It wasn't for political things or WikiLeaks or exposing the truth. Apparently he had some problems with like assault or something like that. Now, that could be true. Not saying it's not, but you know, that is what the media is reporting, so we have to definitely question it. I don't know too much of the backstory on what he was arrested for, or if those things are even true, but I do believe in at least partially, even if he was arrested for assault, I do believe that at least partially it has something to do with Hillary Clinton being angry at him for all the great things he's done, and the timing of the Mueller report and the Russia collusion finally being proven false. I can't help but feel that there's some kind of collusion. Well, let's be fair. CNN and all of them always talk about collusion because the real collusion is actually from them. That's why they constantly say it's Trump, because they're like deflecting professionals. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on the entire thing. I want to know what you think. What do you think about the mainstream media still obsessing about the collusion thing, even though it's been proven false? And Julian Assange's arrest. The man is a hero, and he just so happens to have been arrested around the time of the Mueller report coming out, and I do believe that it was in part because Hillary Clinton planned it, because Hillary Clinton has done these sorts of things in the past. There's a history of this. So what do you think? Personally, that's what I believe, and CNN, the Collusion News Network, you can go fuck yourself, you goddamn endless hypocrites.